Welcome to SS Olson Adventures. I'm Steven.
And I'm Susan.
And these are our adventures.
This week wraps up National Parks Week, and we were fortunate enough to go on an awesome trip where we saw 4 national parks. But quickly, what is a national park, Steve?
To basically sum it up, a national park is nothing more than a piece of land that the government decided is worth protecting.
And there's a really cool deal that the government gives you with a national park pass. It's about $80 to $90 for the year, and you are able to travel into all of these parks essentially for free. You've paid the $90 up front. So we were able to actually get all of our money back by entering the parks, the 4 parks that we saw in 1 week. So it's pretty fun.
So where did we go first?
Well, first we went to Chaco Canyon, and I had never heard about that, but Steve had always wanted to go. It's actually a historical national park, and it preserves the culture. What was the coolest part about Chaco Canyon for you, Steve?
Besides a very bumpy drive-in, it took about half an hour on unpaved roads to get there.
Hey, that's my bit.
I enjoyed the drive.
It was a massage for you because you weren't driving.
Right. Oh. I was watching the car vibrate itself apart, but
Good thing we didn't have any open containers. And we'd use the bathroom.
Jokes aside, this site was, I think the first construction was something around 700 Common Era. And so it's this ancient site that's been used as long as some of the oldest ruins that you find in Europe. And just to see something so close to where we live in a country that everybody says is, oh, so new, so new, so new. And just to see this thing that was built over 1,000 years before
Europeans arrived, settlers.
Before America was even formed was just neat to me.
And I think that's why we want to promote travel and new experiences because, right, like this perception of, oh, America's this new country. Well, the United States government is a new government, but people have been here forever in this land and meeting and 200 tribes would meet in Chaco Canyon to exchange goods. And we had an amazing ranger that was there telling stories about how they would bring trees from 60 miles away and carry it without touching the ground in order to preserve and thank nature for giving them shelter. It's just this amazing, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, this amazing culture of people that existed before Europeans even knew this land was here, and reframing that for ourselves is fascinating. The ranger was also great in comparing ancient cultures to current cultures and how really humans as a society, as a people, as a social animal maintain these same rituals and things. What was the story about? It was like the military chanting. You know, if you're in the army and you're stepping,
that's right, yeah,
and you're stepping and you're chanting and you're staying in
cadence.
In cadence, the same thing when they were carrying that tree from 60 miles away. You've got people on all sides of the tree, imagining you have to probably stay in cadence to make sure that thing doesn't fall to the ground. So it was just fascinating when you think about things like that, and it was a great perspective shift.
It was really cool and such an amazing experience to see almost the sanctity of the place. Everybody that was there was speaking for more or less in hushed tones, and they understood the significance of it. It wasn't wild and crazy like you hear stories of some of the other national parks. There was a reverence there, which was really kind of cool to see. From Chaco Canyon, we went to White Sands National Park, which I think was my favorite. Even though Chaco Canyon was on my list of things to see, White Sands was such a unique place that I just absolutely loved it. It's in this little valley and super fine sand just everywhere. And the sand was neat because it was so cool. We're in the middle of the desert, but you take your shoes off, put your feet in the sand, and it feels like 20, 30 degrees cooler than the air around it. It was just neat.
It's this mineral called gypsum, and the rangers can tell you more about how it gets there, but do the ranger talk for sure. Sunset talk was amazing. And again, you know, he talked about the bumpy road to Chaco Canyon. The warning for white sands is they tell you don't bring the sand home, but it comes with you anyway. So just be prepared for some sand in your car, in your body, just like going to the beach. And I think that was probably the most wild thing. It's like you were transported to a beach somewhere. So
yeah,
gorgeous sunsets.
mm-hmm.
From there we went to Carlsbad. I will tell you, take the potty break at the top of the walk. I thought I was good because I used the bathroom in the visitor center. It's only a 10-minute walk to the opening of the cave before you walk down. And I was like, I'm fine. I was not fine. I was running the last 5 minutes. I found a ranger and was like, how much longer to the bathrooms, and ran so that I could make it to the bathrooms. It's a 45-minute walk down. I do recommend that you hydrate, but make sure you're hydrating well before your hike down into the cave. That's my warning.
Yeah.
But how was it? You have been dying to go there. However long we've known each other, he's always wanted to go.
A long time ago, I read an article about the best ecotourism sites in each of the 50 states. I was trying to put together this epic road trip. And this was number one on whatever site that I went for the state of New Mexico. And so I was excited, I was hyped, I saw pictures, I read about it. I got there and it was majestic, but I have to admit it was kind of underwhelming. It was like the Disneyland of national parks. Everything, there's no adventure to it. It's lit up. There's elevators, there's a bar and a restaurant down inside the cave. It was closed when we were there, but it does exist. It did not feel as fulfilling as I had made it out in my head.
However, with that said, there are opportunities to go climbing in other caves, and you have to sign up and plan ahead for that. But yes, it is very accessible, I think would be another way to put it. So the great thing about Chaco Canyon would be really hard if you have alternative modes of mobility, because it is all outside in dirt. And white sands would be great because you can drive right up to the white sands. So again, probably accessible for those that are immobile or need assistance. And Carlsbad, like we just said, has elevators. So if you don't want to do a 45-minute walk down, it is pretty steep. I did get some vertigo if you're afraid of heights. But yeah, you can definitely bring the whole family and be able to go up and down in an elevator, which, you know, it's not as adventurous, but it is accessible, which is pretty awesome. We do feel that inclusion is an important part of our public spaces as well.
Oh, for sure. And I wasn't bad-mouthing that. I was just talking, it was underwhelming compared to how I brought it up in my head. Now, as far as the cavern itself, it was amazing. Down in the cavern, there's like a 1.5 mile loop. This is how big the cave is. It's 1.5 miles that you can walk around this little like natural amphitheater and see all these different geological formations from water going through limestone, and just how the cave was developed and the history and the excitement of it is really cool. Talking to the ranger, you can do a guided ranger tour that's on a level even below what's accessible to the public, which requires a little bit of climbing up and down 100-year-old ladders. If you're into that, I would like to do it, but Susan here said no way. And there's other caves around that you can get spelunking permits to go and explore on your own without a ranger.
Cool. And then, so those were the 3 we actually had planned. So we had planned a New Mexico road trip. We were going to hit Chaco Canyon, White Sands, and Carlsbad. That was the plan. as we were driving back home, we realized that the Great Sand Dunes were only an hour outside of our trek. And so we made the stop on the spur of the moment, like, okay, we can handle this. And I was blown away. These amazing, majestic mountains right next to this pile of sand. I mean, I shouldn't say pile, mountain of sand. And, you know, the realistic part is it's pretty easy to get to outside of Denver. So it's going to be busy. If you are looking for a national park that maybe has more space or less people, that might not be your jam, but it's definitely something to see. It is unique.
As you were talking about going an hour outside of our way to go see it, I actually remember the conversation. We were driving up, and we were talking about the park pass and how good of a deal it was. We're like, oh, we just need to go to one more national park to pay for it, the year membership, or for the annual pass, in 1 week.
Don't go at lunchtime if you want to collect your national park pass or patch, because they closed.
Yeah.
But I think that's left over from the pandemic too. Cleaning procedures, maybe not enough staff, that sort of thing.
No, the sands itself is cool, and it's a completely different kind of sand from white sands. It's more silica based. It's a little bit more abrasive, but you'll see people there with snowboards, and they'll be snowboarding down these sand dunes. You have people with skis, people with parachutes and wind gliders, like running off the sand dunes and floating down. And it's a playground full of sand, and it's really kind of unique.
I don't think we ever decided on an outro. Can this be the outro?
It's a little lame.
We're working on it. It's part of the adventure. Stay tuned for more adventures.
I like that.